All right, here we go, babe. Here's the.
All right. So, um, if you've been watching along with us, then you know that this we have been watching the trials for the hitmen and conspirators, and that Charlie is soon to go on trial this fall. What happened was Wendy's um, ex husband, Dan Markel, was shot in his driveway of his house or in his garage of his house. And it was a hit. And they have since been trying to get all the conspirators in jail for this crime, and it's as Alex would say, or Alec would say, it's a twisted web or a tangled web.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we begin to deceive. What did he say? Anyway, all
When
right.
we practice to deceive, I think. I
Well,
don't
he
know.
didn't get that far because he's dumb. He said something else. I forget what it was. But
Yeah.
all right. So you want me to pull up the infographic?
Yes. So
All right.
then, now this is
All right,
the
Bose. This is what Shannon works really hard on, and you guys, I know you guys love him. So here is one of Shannon's new infographics. So let's pull this up here.
okay, and you'll see that it's not finished because tonight we're just talking about Wendy. So we're not going to be talking about the hitmen or the actual hit and when they were caught, how their trials went. So I'll put that in the 2015, 16, and then 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, there's something from every year for this trial. But what I think is relevant are some of the things in here so you can see um, kind of the timeline of what was happening before the murder. The murder is the very last box that I filled out on 2014. The day of the murder is 7/18. He actually dies on 7/19. Thank you all. Um, So this has a lot of the different motions in it, and everything is pretty much from court papers or testimony. But I made it so small I can't even read it myself.
Well, what
Um,
do you want me to read? I can kind of read it.
well, 2014, I just am trying to. I was going to start
Well,
from.
I might be able. No, I can't zoom in.
It's okay. So in
So first of
20,
all, they get married, and just so you guys know, they get married in 2/26, 2006. Dan and Winnie get married in Boca Raton, and in 2007, they buy and begin to live in their house on Trescott. So go ahead, babe.
so I'm just going to kind of review through some of the most significant dates to me, or kind of what I think goes along with my theories that I have tonight. But in 2012, before the divorce, before anything is happening, Dan Markel is promoted to a full professorship at FSU. Before that, he was an assistant professor. And before that, I feel that Wendy really felt like Tallahassee was, a stepping stone on the way to something else. And then Dan is promoted. And I think that was didn't set well with Wendy. And in 2012, before Dan was a professor of law at the law school at FSU. And in July, so she doesn't file for divorce. They start going to marriage counseling in the spring of 2012. They are going to marriage counseling, and Wendy keeps going to marriage counseling. But in the meantime, in July, she goes and empties out the joint safe deposit box without Dan's knowledge. She takes a family heirloom ring that dated back to the Holocaust, 2 carat diamond.
His
She
grandmother, was it his grandmother's?
It was actually his great aunt, who was like a grandmother to him,
Gotcha.
and his great uncle gave it to him to give to Wendy. And Wendy Bird, she did not want to wear that ring. So it stayed in the safe deposit box because her family insisted that she wore her grandmother's ring. So he had to propose with a different ring than what he wanted to. So, all the things were great from the very beginning with them. And so then she also, during this time, yes, Kaylin's right. She takes a ton of cash. She takes liquid assets almost up to 300,000. I think it's between 240 and $300,000. So she just helps herself to all of that, and Dan has no clue. Then she starts taking these classes. I don't know if every state has them. I had to take a class. If you get divorced with children in some states, you have to take a parenting class that talks to you about, not poisoning your children against their other parent. And you have to do it. It's like a 2 or 3 hour course that you have to do, and you get your certificate that you did it. So Wendi takes this class in August, but Wendi is still going to marriage counseling with Dan. He has no idea she's taking this class behind his back. She's still going into counseling and acting like she is going to, they're going to reconcile, or they're still working on it. She waits until he leaves for a scheduled trip that he had to New York for a conference. And during that time, she packs up the house. She takes whatever she wants. Again, just like the safe deposit box, she takes whatever she wants. She takes, the kids' clothing, except for some clothes that don't fit them anymore, their toys. She takes tons of things and moves them out of the house, and then just leaves the divorce papers for Dan to find on the bed. So he is blindsided by this. And I think that this kind of sets the tone. If you kind of see this pattern with Wendi, this is how she is all through tonight. You're going to see this through line, that she's very passive aggressive. She does things in stealth, that she doesn't want to do the big thing to his face. So she, does these little tiny digs and things, and then pretends to be innocent and that they're coincidences.
Doesn't she even say at some point that she is passive aggressive?
Yeah, and I have that one. We're going to listen to that
Oh,
one.
sorry.
She even says she is.
There's a
That's okay.
spoiler. I spoiled it.
The Little Mermaid got spoiled tonight too. So anywho, then the divorce starts. And first of all, Dan is like, where are the kids? He gets home, the kids are gone. And he's like, where are the kids? Where are the kids? And according to her, she brings them back the next day and lets him see them. But according to him, it's weeks before she reveals where she's living. She wants to try and move to Miami. In the original divorce agreement, she, plans out in the papers, when you file, you can propose a custody agreement. She does. She proposes that she lives in Miami and has like all the, custody basically, and Dan can, visit or get summertime or whatever. So Dan is a lawyer himself, and so is Wendi. They met in law school, and so this begins the process of an 800-page divorce file between them, which is outrageous. They go to court all the time. Because Dan is a lawyer, he can e-file motions in the middle of the night. Some of them are time-stamped like 3:23 in the morning that he e-files. They are going back and forth relentlessly. And of course, it's important to Dan that he retains custody of the children. So
Let me just for
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, for people who may have not gone through, like, if you've been in like a contentious divorce or something like that, and you have like what I thought was a large packet, I had like, I think 30 pages. Theirs was 800. And when you're living through it, you have to like refer to it all the time, because you don't want to mess up, because if you do something wrong in the stipulation, then you're breaking it and it can look bad for you. And like for me, like whether it was a holiday and determining who had who, or determining who is going to pick up who. Like you have this document that you have to keep referring to, and it was just such a nightmare. And mine was, I thought was long, for it was like 30 pages, and this was 800 pages with two lawyers having to go through and like look through all that stuff when you're just trying to live your life with your kids. And this is a new life you have where like you don't have your kids all the time and you don't want to mess it up. And if someone wants to fuck with you, essentially, they could do that easily. And just there's so much that goes on that's behind the scenes that, like, while we're talking about an 800-page divorce thing, you may think, well, that's a lot, but like when you're living that life, it is just an absolute nightmare. So anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead, babe.
It's all right. So basically they're fighting back and forth in 2013. They're in mediation and they are trying to work things out. He gets Wendi in June to say that she will return the ring. She will return the ring. She says to the lawyers in mediation that she'll return the ring if his 96-year-old uncle, Lazar is his name, if he requests it of her, then she will give the ring to him. She won't give it to Dan. So it's this kind of petty bullshit. So Dan gets his poor 96-year-old uncle to write and request his wife's jewelry back that dates back to the Holocaust. And Wendi never returns the ring. Wendi has the ring still. So they're still fighting over everything. The judge finally denies the relocation motion on 6/20, and then the divorce becomes final. They agree without a trial, 7/31. So then we get to it's finalized. Well, it does not end there. There is so many motions back and forth. Dan is accusing Wendi that she stole assets. She hid assets, which there's evidence that she did. She emptied the safe deposit box. He never got the stuff back. So he's filing contempt of the marriage stipulation agreement. And then she files contempt back. I mean, they are in court hearing, seeing this judge just incessantly. And like Jay said, it's a ton of friction because they're going through all this and they have to be in court and they have to, juggle between the kids. And you don't really want to see the person that you're going to court against anymore at all. And that's why you got divorced. But now you've got to see them all the time. So basically why I put the bomb in there is because my Canva locked up right before this live and I didn't get to put the thing that I thought was most important. Was in May of 2014, Wendi files again for a change in custody, and she files a relocation motion. She thinks that her reasoning is that she will have a better job in Miami. So she finds a job in Miami. And she's like, hey, this will be my job. This will be my pay. My family's there. And, I want to move out of Tallahassee. She comes in with this motion and the judge literally laughs her out of the courtroom. He's like, your stipulation was not even a year ago, settled not even a year ago. And I don't know how much anybody knows about custody agreements, but they are not easily changed. Once you agree on it, it is pretty much ironclad unless the other person does something really terrible. So you have to have so much evidence. I had a move away case that I ended up winning, but you have to have scores and scores of evidence that the other person is not a fit parent. And Dan was a wonderful father. By all accounts, everyone, even Wendi, said he was a wonderful father. So the judge was like, get out of here with that. And with that, I feel like that bomb went off. And from then on out, things that might have just been said in the past that were like, I would have hired a hitman, ha ha ha. It became like something has to happen to Dan so that I can move. because that's the only way. She knew at that point in time there was no frickin' way that he was going to lose the children. So that's the timeline portion.
And just as, oh, Brooke,
Oh, thanks for joining, Brooke.
thank you so
You
much.
upgraded.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Brooke now eligible for the exclusive stream on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we rewatch the Gwyneth Paltrow trial with special guest Mandy Norrell. So thank you, Brooke. Hey, RT. Hey, RT. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We love when you're here. I mean, we love when you're all here, but I know RT works a lot. It's nice to see you here. Hey, Chevelle. You know, to me, and I was just thinking about this while Shannon's doing all this research. So there has to be a point where this family, like Shannon said, that's where that point that she referred to is the point where it gets really contentious. But like to me, in my head, it's like there's a point where they made up in their mind, this family, that they were going to have Dan Markel killed. Like I went through a tough divorce. Shannon went through a tough divorce. You know, in my head, I'm thinking, all right, this is just going to be a tough time. I just got to push through it. It's not going to always go my way. You know, you just gotta fight and do your best. But these people in their minds, it just blows my mind that in their mind, they got in their head that, all right, we have to kill this man. It just blows my fucking mind that someone, I mean, obviously we watch all these trials and it happens. It's hard for me to compute, but, sorry, babe, you want me to go to the, interrogation?
Yeah, so we're going to watch some footage. I wanted to highlight Leanne had a great point about the passive aggressiveness. She says she wants maximum impact with minimum, I don't remember if you said confrontation, but absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so the first thing we're going to watch is a little bit of the interrogation. We have a few timestamps from the interrogation to look at. This is right when she comes in. So this is right where she is told what's going on.
I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not.
Adelson. Okay. Wendi with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay. Before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
Okay? No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this really happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, it was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and get super glue for one of the boys' toys. And I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Easy for you.
Okay, you can stop here, babe. Okay, well, that was a lot. One thing, I made the timeline so small and I don't have my glasses on. So I did forget to say that after the bomb goes off, Dan also had filed a motion, or actually before the bomb goes off, Valentine's Day, Dan files a motion that he would like only supervised visits with Donna Adelson, who is Wendy's mother. He accuses her of parental alienation, and he has both of the kids telling him that grandma says you're stupid. Grandma says you're trying to take her sunshines away. They heard him called so many names. So he files that, and Wendi, says in court that they weren't really worried about that motion. And I don't know that they were really worried about it when he very first filed it. But once the judge said, you're not relocating, then the next time they were in court, she got the hearing for the Donna Adelson motion continued because she switched counsel. So she gets the hearing on Donna continued. She buys herself some more time. And then before the hearing comes up again, he's dead. So I just forgot to say that because I couldn't read my own typing.
And by the way, just as an aside, when you're like in divorce proceedings and you just want to get it done, one of the most frustrating and infuriating things is when you're ready for like a conference or something and the other side thinks of a reason to get it continued and pushed out, because the dates take forever and it's just super infuriating when you're ready to go and then they're like, oh, we can't go today, and you've prepared for it and you're ready to go, and then they're like, nope, and then they kick it out at like another 90 days. The court doesn't care. Court is just used to it, and they're like, whatever, all right, our next appearance is 90 days. So it's just so infuriating. Go ahead, babe. You want to go to the next part or?
So in that clip, it's difficult to judge people in these types of situations, of course, because you don't know exactly how you would act, and there's no right way to act or grieve. However, what is missing to me, I don't care anything about, I'll let her slide on everything. I'll let her slide that she starts crying immediately after they say it, which is strange because usually you're shocked first. So I'm going to give that to her. Fine, whatever. She covers her face, maybe so she doesn't have to show that she has 0 tears. She starts doing this weird, trying to hyperventilate thing or actually hyperventilating, whatever. I'll give her that. But what is missing from here? We've already gotten to, 6 minutes in, and her children were with Dan that week. She doesn't say, I'm worried about my kids. So they probably told her in the car on the way over, your kids are okay. But then when you find out that your ex-husband was murdered, you might start being worried about your children. That might be something that you start focusing on. And we do not see this from Wendi for a long time in this interview. So this is what I think is really missing from this. She finds out there was a murder. They had just told her the kids are okay, but now she finds out there was a murder. What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
I thought you were asking the crowd.
I
was asking. I thought you were asking the crowd. I mean, I agree. That's pretty sus, as my kids would say. That's pretty sus.
All right. So then there's so many bizarre moments in this. And I didn't want everybody to be here all night. So we're trying to move along through some more bizarre moments. So if you will go to the next timestamp is 40906. We're going to talk about
a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV. 22 to what I have here.
Oh, thank you, Disney nerd.
1024 the liquor store and got turned around.
Oh, whoa.
Never left.
Yep. Pause it.
Amanda, thank you so much. You are too kind. Thank you so much. Welcome to the new members.
Thank you.
Grab your Capri Suns, new members.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep, 40906. Yep.
Okay. And at 10:42, you're done with the call from Renee.
Yeah.
And you don't make another call again, according to what I have here. You called Tova.
At 11:22.
At 11:22. So between 10:42.
I worked for a total of like 20 minutes. It's a good thing I'm not on a timesheet.
Okay. So from 10:42.
And you know what? If you took my computer, you could probably find records of like what time I saved the document. And I'd be happy to sign a waiver so you could look at my computer.
And 10:42 to 11:22, you're working on paper. And then when you remember the call to Tova. And that was,
I just left her. She had called. I was just returning her call.
Okay.
So I just left a message. And then I tried Danny. I left him a call. I worked in between. Once again, it would be good. I'll get you my computer if you want to take a look at the documents.
I just have to validate all this. That's all. So
and you could probably go to my email records, which you should have. When you guys did the phone, you did the email records, so you would have of like what time I sent messages.
Just remind you of anyone else.
Messages during those times.
Yeah.
That's why I chose this clip.
10:42 and 11:22.
I think so, because I don't remember exactly what time, but before I left the house at noon, I sent off the edits, like the citations to the law school library to have someone look at my citations on this paper that's due that I no longer care about.
Okay. And so how can we say, do you have some way of showing a timeline of when
I sent email?
No, when you left the house.
Oh yeah. So the only thing I have that is the only thing that I guess I have is I was waiting to call back this colleague of mine, Joe Davis, and I called him from the car at 12:27, and he was the first call I made as I was pulling out of the driveway. So that was like 12:27.
That's leaving the house.
That was leaving the house. So I got into the car, I put on my earpiece, I called Joe. And Joe was busy with a colleague, and then I was returning phone calls. I called back this woman, Laura, that was at 12:29.
Making lots of phone calls.
I called my friend Jeff Skopek, who's different Jeff, lives in Boston, just had a baby, and so I was catching up with him about his baby. And we were on the phone about 16 minutes. I was on the phone with him on the way to the liquor store.
Joe Davis was the one at 12:27?
Okay. And I actually spoke with Joe. Laura, I left a message, and then Jeff I spoke with for a while, and then the connection cut out. I went into the liquor store, I tried him back again. We talked for a few minutes, connection cut out again, and I was like, I'm at lunch, I'll just call him back later.
Okay. When you went to the liquor store, did you already know what you're going to get, or you had to?
Yeah, I had the name of, I don't know bourbon, but I was supposed to go to this party tonight. It's like a stock the bar party, and so I asked my friend what do they like, and she wrote down the name of the type of bourbon. So I went in the store to get Bulleit bourbon, and so I asked the guy in the store, like, where's your bourbon? And so he showed it to me, and I found it. And
Okay, so you just went, he pointed out where the bourbon was?
Yeah.
And you go there and you just grab the brand that's familiar by the name?
Yeah, that's what they said they wanted. So.
Okay, so you didn't discuss with the clerk whether this good, whether
No.
it's bad?
The only thing I said I discussed.
Debbie.
I'd pause for that, babe.
Debbie, thank you so much. You are the best,
That's
Debbie.
sweet.
Thank you. You have a great weekend too. Thank you, Debbie.
Debbie,
Thank
I'm
you very
sorry
much,
that there are no hot
You're a
cops
gentleman
tonight.
and a scholar.
Say it again, babe. I had the
I was saying to Debbie that I'm just sorry that there are no hot cops tonight because I still get a little giggly when I think of your reaction the last time.
Debbie couldn't be stopped. Was that Idris Elba when Debbie could not be stopped? She couldn't be contained. Me too. I still think about that, Debbie. That was pretty fucking funny. How much more? Do I keep playing this, babe?
Yes, there's just a tiny bit more.
Just by the way, I mean, first of all, anyone else thinking of old Alec? But it's clear Wendi Bot has programmed her how to show the police you have an alibi program strong in her programming.
As I walked over, and he was like, "Can I see your ID?" And I was like, "Why are you laughing? I could be 18."
Okay.
And I was like, and so I was like, "I love to be asked how old I am." I'm like, "I'm old as dirt. Here you go." And so I handed it to him, and he's like, "You're not old."
Okay.
So anyway, we had like a little banter, and he was like, "Your eyes are so blue," and I was like, "Thank you." And then I left. So, yeah.
Will you
Okay, you can stop there.
put his name under?
First of all, it's my first time buying bourbon, and I don't know, but it was Bulleit. Like, it's bullet bourbon. Like, where are you from? Outer space? No, you're a lawyer. You know what top shelf bourbon is. You know that it looks bad that you were buying bullet bourbon right before a bullet went into your ex-husband.
Where is the Shannon rant emoji? Why is it not in here?
I think I might have taken it out.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
I forgot to
going.
update the emojis for tonight. You can use the J one if you want.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
All right. But I just like the little yeah. It's just so fake. It's so fake. And then she is loving like making this cop laugh. She is loving this little performance she's giving. He asked me for my ID. That makes him laugh. Then she's like fake, like, oh, but I could be 18, you know? And my eyes were so blue and blah, 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 blah. So it's just all shades of inappropriate. The way she's acting is not how you act, a few hours after you learn that your ex was murdered. It's just weird. And yes, the timeline is too perfect. She knows where to tell them to check everything for her. Check to see when I saved this document because I was doing the footnotes for a paper that I no longer care about. I think I only worked for 20 minutes. Hope there's not a timesheet on that. I mean, it's all just so freaking manufactured down to this is when I save the document, and you can see that on my computer when you get my computer, and I'll give you my password. Thanks, Wendi Bot. All right. So.
Hashtag Shannon rant. All right, where am I going now?
Bullet bourbon really gets me enraged. All right. So next, another moment of levity for Wendi. 427.
underneath there, please.
This is so creepy.
Just print his name.
Alan. Okay. And just because my suggestion to him, just because we don't know what's going on, was if he goes to the house.
Sorry, my mom might be calling back because she heard me. Mom? You did, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you could just tell Charlie for me. I just don't want to be making calls right now, so if you could just tell Charlie for me, that would be great. Okay, and just, like, it's on the news a little bit that there was a shooting on Trescott, and so I'm starting to get a lot of calls, and I'm not going to be answering them unless they're from you, so I would really try not to tell anybody what's going on just yet, just because, like, he's in the hospital, and Charlie, I talked to Charlie earlier today, obviously before any of this happened. Like, I talked to him at like 10 this morning, and he said that he was coming to visit you guys this weekend, and he had plans, and he sounded good. I just can't, Mom. So can you just tell him? Yeah, just tell him for me, and then I'm sure I'll talk to him soon. But I don't want to be on the phone unless I have to right now. Okay. Okay. All right. Love you too. Bye. My mom handled that pretty well. Could you hear her?
Yeah. I think, because you're a mama, but moms always go in that natural instinct to kind of protect and help and...
Yeah. I'm waiting to hear from
Okay,
you
you
whenever
can
you
stop
can.
there.
It's Jean. When she says she's here.
Notice when she starts to cry. She starts to get actual emotion when she starts talking about Charlie. Saw Charlie and he was good. I mean, what? Plus, you can tell that she seems a little on edge while she's talking to Donna. Like, don't freaking blow this, Mom. They can hear you right now. She can't say any of those things, but please don't have anyone call me. And you need to tell Charlie for me because God forbid I make that phone call in front of the cops. So I just thought it was inappropriate the times that she does actually seem to show emotion. They're either for herself or for her family. And then she wants that extra. She wants to know how it looked. How was my performance? So she turns to the victim advocate and she's like, my mom's taking it well, or whatever she says, though. She's doing, she did better than I thought. Wanting to gauge. She wants that back and forth. Do they suspect me? Do they suspect my mom? I think that's what she's asking for.
Yes, Michelle, her mom did know. Her mom was part of the people that planned it.
For
allegedly.
Sure. Yes, allegedly. I don't know, but I have my time things really messed up on this video for some reason.
Hold on, let me. So the same notes you're talking about?
Yeah. So at 4:42:45, it should be. She's talking about maybe just start at 4:42 since I might be off.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, my parents sounded really surprised, so it's at least a relief. I was trying to think of who would be angry enough to do something to him. My parents would be angry, but they're not capable of this. Thank God. I really couldn't handle that right now.
What?
Yeah. No.
What's up, Steve?
Can I ask Robin why Jimmy needs to talk to me, or just leave it alone? Leave it alone.
I can't.
I know.
I hate to advise on kind of those legal situations.
Oh, here. I mean, this is this is Lisa Frank, just like a friend of mine. I just read that there was a shooting on Trescott today. I hope you and the boys are safe. It's weird, though. It's I guess the reaction is they're worried, that Danny did something, right? Because otherwise, they know Lisa knows I don't live on Trescott. So I don't know. Wait, Jane is on her way to TPD, but I don't need her here, right? Because I'm going to Allen's.
I think From my read when Joanna came in here, that someone was going to drive you and Joanna was going to drive your car last up to kind of, so that way
Okay,
your
you
car
can
would
stop
be
there.
somewhere safe.
I mean, my parents seemed surprised, so that was good. But I mean, we've all heard that one before, but the one that I noticed this time, listening to it when I was putting my timestamps down, was that she was so pleased with that text. And she says to the victim advocate, so it's obvious that people are thinking Dan did something. You know, like, because they're contacting her and saying, I hope you and the boys are safe. And they know she doesn't live on Trescott anymore. So did Dan, try to murder Wendi or hurt the boys or commit suicide? She's so happy that, the plot is working. Nobody suspects anything. And just the parents, this surprise thing is just, it gets you. It's like, what?
And guys, by the way, for the people that don't know, Charlie is her brother who is in jail right now for allegedly setting up the hit, and his trial is scheduled for October. Just an FYI.
All right. I think if you go to the first trial, but will you do the second timestamp, because the first timestamp is the bullet bourbon, and we've gone over that. So
what's the timestamp?
5130.
Good afternoon, Ms. Adelson.
This is from the first trial for Katie Magbanahua. No.
Magbanawa.
Magbanahua. This is for the first trial for Katie and Sigfredo. Katie, who was the liaison to set up the hit. Sigfredo was the one who shot and killed Dan. This is from the first trial testimony.
And this is cross-exam by Katie's lawyer.
Afternoon. How are you doing today? You doing okay?
I'm fine.
You nervous?
Am I nervous?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm nervous.
Okay. Now you stated on direct examination that you are a lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
Right. So you understand that the oath that you took before you took the stand, correct?
Yes,
You know the consequences of not being truthful here,
of course.
and you also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Okay. Now, do you know who killed Dan Markel?
No,
Did your brother have anything to do with killing Dan Markel?
I don't believe so.
Your mother is Donna Adelson.
She is.
Where is she right now?
Right now, she's with my children
Not in
In-
Tallahassee.
in Miami.
Okay. She's not in jail.
No,
She's never been arrested before.
no.
Okay. She's not even testifying in this case, is she? To your
No.
knowledge.
To my knowledge, no.
What about your brother Charlie? Is he in Miami right now?
He's probably in Fort Lauderdale right now.
Okay, but he hasn't been arrested,
No,
hasn't been charged,
no,
and he's not testifying in this case, is he?
no.
Okay. Are you aware if the state has attempted to subpoena them to come to court?
I believe they have received a subpoena to come to court.
Okay, and it was for them to come and testify in this trial, or you don't know?
I don't know for certain.
Okay. But you know they've received some form of subpoena?
I heard about that.
Okay. When is the last time you spoke to your family? Your mom, in particular?
This morning, I called to check in on the boys.
Okay. How is your relationship with your parents now? Is it estranged in any way, or you still have a good relationship with your parents?
I still have a good relationship.
What about your brother Charlie?
I still have a good relationship.
When is the last time you spoke to Charlie?
Probably last week at some point.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that Charlie is a father.
He is.
When did he have his child? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay.
He was
You can
born in
stop.
December
I-
2017.
Again, have written down the wrong thing or something. My computer must have been different. That was the point where I wanted her, where she confronts her about her immunity, and she laughs. You see her laugh at the beginning again. And she says, why would I be arrested? Why would the state charge me? She starts laughing. So that was that. Hopefully this next one will be right in the second trial. And between the first and the second trial, Wendi.
Wait. You had 2 clips of the first trial. 37.
Yeah, but the first, but they're wrong. I mean, I don't want to do it.
This was the second, but we do 3715?
3715 is the bullet one. I don't want to do that one.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then this one I messed up.
You want me to go to the second trial?
Yeah, let's hope this one's right. I'm just firing on all cylinders, guys.
So 124?
Yeah, hopefully. What's the actual full time on this video?
126.50.
All right. Yeah, 124 should be okay.
I currently live in Miami Beach.
And you notice this is 3 years later, and she's wearing the exact same dress and blazer. She doesn't have that good blowout, but she's pretty identical to the last time she testified 3 years ago.
Subpoena.
Yes, I am.
And do all state subpoenas confer immunity?
I'm sorry, 124.00. So before the end.
Okay, and do you believe that your subpoena is special or different from?
Well, here's the part you were talking about. No, the subpoena you wanted, or no?
She doesn't laugh in this trial. That's the first trial.
Carry immunity. It was 10 days before my older son's birthday, so he was almost 5, and my younger son was 3.5.
Did you change their legal names about a month or so after the murder?
No, not a month or so after the murder, no.
Okay. When was it done? Even sooner than that?
No, absolutely not. When I tried to put my children in school and their faces had been unblurred on CNN and all across social media.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you'll answer my question is, when were the boys' names changed?
The boys' names were changed after I wrote a letter to Danny's family explaining why I was changing their names.
When were their names
About
changed?
a year after.
Okay, and that was when they were legally changed, July 6, 2015?
I don't remember the date, but if you have it, that sounds correct.
Okay, so they were legally changed on that date, but just a month or so after the murder, when you were enrolling them in school, is when they effectively had their names changed.
That is not true.
Okay. And what did you change their names from and to?
I changed their last name from their father's last name to mine.
From Markel to Adelson?
That is correct.
And did you also drop the middle name of one of your boys that was a tribute to his paternal side?
It was a tribute to both families.
Did you drop it?
I did. I lost an honor to both families that day, yes.
Do you want the culpable parties in this murder held accountable?
Absolutely.
And even if it involves your own family?
Absolutely.
Do you recall giving an interview with law enforcement on the day that your ex-husband was murdered?
I recall sitting with law enforcement for 6 hours, yes, I recall.
And did you tell law enforcement something different in that interview about the culpability of your family?
I'm sure while I sat for 6 hours completely traumatized that I said all kinds of things.
All right, and was one of the things you said while you sat for 6 hours completely traumatized that you wanted the culpable parties held accountable unless it was your family?
I don't believe I phrased it like that, and I think you're taking my words out of context, but sure.
Nodding her head yes.
But sure?
But sure what?
No further questions.
All right, we're going to take our...
Steve, thanks so much, brother. You have a happy Memorial Day weekend, too. And, guys, Steve, he announced they're going to start on Publicly Buzz playing old trials Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's going to start playing and watching old trials, so definitely check that out. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
All right, go ahead, babe. What do you want to say about this?
well, she does pretty good with her body language throughout the trial. She knows everybody's watching her, but this end part, she shakes her head no when she's saying yes, and she nods yes when she's saying no. So that's interesting. But the why she, is it a big threat that people know your middle name? She says, I changed the boys' names because, they didn't blur their faces out on CNN. And they were in danger. So she changes it to Adelson, which, I mean, whatever, but that's not going to keep them any safer. But why do you need to change the middle name? And the middle name was specifically for Dan's grandfather. And what she's talking about with her family is that it started with the same letter as the name of her great uncle or something that could have clearly been made up, because it's not in the naming story that Dan wrote in his blog. I've linked that before, but I'll put that up in the Discord too, because it will break your heart to read it, because the names of these children meant everything to him. And this was just another post-death little dig.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but just watching her testimony, just watching her, the rage that I feel inside is right up there with Alec Murdaugh. Like, she's such a phony piece of shit, and she another one who just thinks they're the smartest one in the room. They're gonna just trick everyone, and it makes me so angry watching her. Any hoozle.
So the next thing is that Wendi, sweet Wendi, joined a writing class so that she could write about her life. And she tells the story of her ex-husband's murder. And it's on this podcast. So this whole thing is worth listening to because it's banana sandwiches. But I wanted to play the end most of all. And I think it's at 1849.
I'll start here.
To do it, but it just felt unavoidable. The words kind of just flew out of me. But then when I was done, I sat there and I couldn't look anyone in the eye. And I was sweaty. And I just thought, okay.
It's about her telling her story to
now
her
I've done it. Now it's out there. Now what?
And so then how did you feel about the class's reaction?
Thank you.
I felt good. I felt good about the class's reaction. I realized that people had questions. And so some of them were about the writing and how, what might be different ways to tell the same story. And other questions were a bit more like, well, what happened here and what was going on there? And I thought, I don't know if you remember this. I didn't know we were all going to read what we wrote in class. I thought maybe some of us would read if we felt like it. And I didn't think that would be me.
So I asked her what motivated her in that moment to read her story, even when she wasn't expecting to.
I think for me, a lot of the additional pain I felt, on top of the murder and everything associated with was it felt unfair that I couldn't at least tell my own story, that the story got told for me. So I think there was an aspect of empowerment of being able to say, no, this is my side of the story. This is what things looked like from my perspective.
Flying fortress of
plastic dreams. So, the thing that is so interesting that they end on that little note, because Wendi definitely has narcissistic personality traits. And one thing that really you'll see happen in domestic violence murders and malignant narcissists is that they want the last word. And so it was unfair that she couldn't tell her story. And she needed to be able to tell her story. It's unfair that Dan is dead. And she even like gives this throwaway comment of like, besides the murder and everything, this was the worst part. Not that my children no longer have their father and that, this terrible thing will be in their lives for the rest of their life. They no longer have their father, and their father was murdered. So they have to deal with that. And I just think that screams that she wanted the last word, and she couldn't stand that Dan was winning these motions. She couldn't stand that people thought he was smarter than her, that he went to Harvard, that he was a full professor and she was an associate professor. All those things fucking pissed her off. And in every little thing she has where she's showing, Dan, I am still going to get the fucking last word. And that's what she was doing there. IMHO.
I forgot who it was in the chat who had asked if we got memberships. It looks like a few memberships just came through, so I think they did come through. So thank you so much for. I didn't get like the chat thing, but it looks like I just saw some the bot saying that people were. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. I forget who it was. Put your name in there. I'm sorry. I forget because it didn't come up. So, but thank you so much for paying for the memberships. And for those who don't know, just going forward, if you look at this graphic, Katie and Sigfredo are already convicted. Louis Tato took a deal with the prosecution, and Charlie Adelson's trial is on for October. And who knows who's going to go down. That's going to be super interesting to see what happens. Charlie, the dentist who staples money, is on. Jennifer. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Jennifer, thank you so much, Jennifer. So who knows? When this comes up in October, it's going to be pretty wild. And just another thing to think about is these kids are now basically 10 years older. This happened almost 10 years ago. It's wild to me how much time has passed as opposed to, Bleefnik, which was 90 days ago. It's just, yes, I think it was Jennifer Peralt. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes. So, gosh, there was something in there that I was going to say in the chat. It goes so fast. I can't find it. But, somebody asked a question that I was going to answer, but I don't see it now.
Was she his student? Maybe was that the question or no?
Was that one of the questions? No, she wasn't. They met in law school. She was a second-year student when they met, or she met him while she was in law school. Excuse me. They didn't go to law school together. He went to Harvard.
Yeah, why don't you tell me what you told me before about Harvard?
So I've been reading Ruth Markel's book, which is wonderful. It's called Unveiled. It will break your heart. One thing about them changing the name and that it's now 10 years later is that also she completely alienated them from their grandchildren and from Dan's sister. They have conveniently been given visits when it's right around the trial time so that Wendi can be like, oh yeah, now we're going to let them see them. And actually there's a law that was just recently passed in Florida that was due to Ruth Markel's endless advocacy for grandparents' rights, and it's called, in part, the Markel Law. So there had to be a law written because the egregious nature of keeping these children completely from their grandparents. And
yes, so, Ruth is Dan's mom. Sorry.
Yes, Ruth is Dan's mom. So completely from their grandparents, which means completely from their dad. So law school, you said tell him about Harvard. So I'm reading Ruth Markel's book, and she said that when she first meets Wendi, their family's going to meet her. And Dan tells his family, all these great things about her. He's smitten with her, but he tells his family to not bring up Harvard because it's kind of a sore spot with Wendi, because it makes her feel inferior, or that like he's bragging that he went to Harvard. So if she could just please, telling his mom and dad and sister, no talking about Harvard. So she was extremely insecure from moment one. So one thing that we can all participate in is, let's just list the coincidences that Wendi wants you to believe. Wendi has all these coincidences, like the bullet bourbon. What a coincidence. So if you want to be involved in listing coincidences, you can throw them up in the chat, but there are a lot. Also, she is wearing an owl shirt the day of the murder. The night before, the hitmen were told to take down a photo on Instagram of an owl. So, could be a coincidence, but there sure are a lot of them. Just like it's a coincidence that she was wearing the exact same outfit for 2 trials. But there are a lot. It was a coincidence, that they got a car the hitman rented a car that was similar to her boyfriend's car, that they committed the murder while her boyfriend was going to be going out of town. There are just so many of Wendi's little coincidences that she wants you to believe. The TV repairman, yes, the TV repairman came in the window in which Dan was murdered. What does the owl represent? I don't know what the owl represents, but she was wearing a t-shirt with an owl on it. And during her police interrogation, the day of the murder, the night before, Sigfredo and Luis stayed in a motel, and Luis took a picture of an owl outside, and Katie calls, and she says to Sigfredo, tell Luis to take down that picture. Are you stupid? You can't have that picture up because it shows where you are. So they delete the Instagram, but then the next day, just coincidentally, the day Dan's murdered, coincidentally, she buys a bourbon called Bullet and is wearing a shirt with an owl on it.
You guys ready for Shannon to get really upset really quick? You know what else the owl represents? The owl represents who possibly committed a murder, from what I understand. I'm not really familiar with the Michael Peterson case, but Shannon gets really upset when there's an owl brought up regarding that case. But that's another case.
That's neither here nor there.
But Shannon's going to punch me in the face when we're done. Just kidding. She would never do that.
I would never do that. So lots of coincidences. But the main thing that I really found as a through line was this idea that Wendi is passive aggressive and that she wants to do all these little things in stealth mode that shows that she is so much smarter than everybody else. Then basically the main thing that, well, babe, what do you want to say? Because then I have one more big point I want to talk about.
Nothing. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, people are talking about Michael Peterson now. And if anybody in the chat says that the owl did it, it's going to be upsetting to me.
Shannon's brother likes to tell her that the brother did it just to piss her off.
The owl did it. Yeah, so he'll sometimes just send the owl emoji to me, just knowing that it will just send me. Oh. So anywho, what did you want to say? Any closing theories and thoughts for you, babe?
I mean, I guess you want to call it a theory, but Wendi, this family wanted to get rid of, like I said before, at some point they made that decision in their head that they had enough money and they could pay to have this man murdered, the father of her children murdered. They decided they were going to do that, and they were going to do it through Katie and Sigfredo, and they just made that decision, and they fucking did it, and it's just fucking crazy to me that any human could make a decision like that, but I guess we watch these trials every day. But it's just wild that Donna, Harvey, Charlie, and Wendi all were part of a plan to hire hitmen to kill the father of Wendy's kids. It's just crazy. But go ahead, baby. What'd you want to finish it with?
Okay, so justice for owls is true. Owls are just out here trying to live their lives. I agree. But the thing that struck me the most about this family is I went into this, even having researched a little bit, I still thought that people were really putting a lot on Donna. And because her emails are just, she's not very intelligent. She's writing down all these things, on the record and sending them to Wendi about how they should dress the boys in Hitler costumes to upset Dan, how to tell Dan that she's going to change their religion, to tell Dan that they'll give him $1 million if they'll let her move. So she's putting all this in writing, and I'm just like, she is not the mastermind. I just can't fathom that because she's just not that smart. And we know Charlie isn't that smart because he was stapling money. Like, he was basically like, hey, this is my signature thing, and let me give you, signature bills. So the main thing that I feel about the Markels is that they were super enmeshed. There are no boundaries in this family. And the prime example, the Adelsons. I'm sorry, did I say the Markels? I meant the Adelsons.
The Adelsons, go ahead.
Okay, so in the Adelsons family, they are so enmeshed. There are no boundaries. The parents and the siblings are talking about, Jeff Lacoste talks about how Charlie would talk about his sexual exploits in front of Wendi. And he was like, this is weird. That's your sister, dude. They talked about relationships. Donna is always telling Wendi what to do with Dan. But the prime example for this is I believe in this family that there is a culture that you are either with us or you are 100% out. And that is what they did to Robert Adelson, who is the unknown face in the thing, because he didn't deserve to have his face on here because he's not banana sandwiches like the rest of these people. So Robert Adelson is a doctor. He falls in love with another doctor who is an Indian American woman, but she's not Jewish. He gets engaged to this woman. And there is so much conflict in his family that he breaks off his engagement. He marries a nice Jewish girl to appease his family, and that marriage then quickly falls apart. And then he ends up being like, what the F? I should have been with the love of my life. And so luckily, and I'm so happy that they were both in a spot that they could come together and be together because they deserve to be together. They didn't need these people meddling with them. And they left. Robert left this family. He was like, I will be with her, and you have messed this up for me. You messed this up for her. And you know that forever from then on, they have talked shit on Robert. And they don't have a relationship with Robert's kids because he does not want to be in this family. He did not want to be treated like that. He did want to be in the family, I think, but they were like, you're either with us or you're gone. And
best decision Robert Adelson ever made in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. They, then then they have even another thing that bonds them together because they have this thing to talk about with Robert. They're all on the same side. You've all got to be on the same side. So with Dan, they're all on the same side. They think he is a son of a bitch, and they criticize him for everything. And it becomes, Jeff Lacasse says, it was like the culture in their family, the running joke, the thing was to just talk shit on Dan. And they just, I feel like it was so much that family just kept getting narcissistic injury, which if you injure a narcissist, it's like way worse than if you injure their ego, which Dan was injuring their ego over and over because he was smarter and he was winning all these cases and he was not going to lose his children. And he had proof that Donna was trying to alienate the children, and he was going to get supervised visitation for her, and they could not stand it anymore. And I think too, they all, because they have this enmeshed relationship, it makes it easier. Like you say, babe, it's hard for me to think like we're going to make this decision that he's going to die. But it's easier to make a decision like that if you have 3 other people that take some of the blame, are doing little bits of the plan. It becomes more of a group think. And we know in psychology that groups of people can do stuff that's really awful that maybe you would not do as an individual. And I just think that this family got into that situation where they could not let Dan live. Days before Dan's murder, she tells Jeff Lacasse, she tells him, I won't be able to move unless something happens to Dan. And they couldn't destroy him through legal means, so they had to take his life. And the thing about narcissists that we know, and people like Wendi, who, she has, if you want to look up about Wendi, she's a classic cluster B. She's histrionic. She's everything on cluster B. But things about them that are interesting is that they completely overestimate how smart they are. And at the same time, and we all kind of realize that they do that. They have these, Alec did it big time. He thought he was so smart. But the other thing is that they completely underestimate how smart the rest of us are. And I think that is what is going to get them caught. And I do think that Wendi will be indicted. I am just, what's that saying? From my lips to God's ears. I think Dan deserves this justice so much. In fact, there's a wonderful group of Dan's friends who started a group on Facebook. They also have a website. It's called Justice for Dan. It's freaking awesome. I try to also fight against things when I see in the media where they say, it was a contentious divorce and they were sparring and things like this. I'm sorry, Dan ended up dead. This is not like he had any fault in this. You can have as messy of a divorce as you want to have on this planet, and you do not deserve to die for it. You can write these long ass briefs and make these huge, motions in court, but that does not negate that you deserve to live your life.
I just put in the Justice for Dan Facebook page in chat if you guys want to check it out. Facebook/Justice4Dan.
And Ruth Markel's book is great. She has been on different shows before. She is so inspirational. And I just want her, and she says, I just want to live to see justice for my son.
Let me throw that in the chat as well. Here's the link for Ruth Markel's book if you want to check that out as well.
Really, really, when I do these shows, I get so wrapped up. And I've been in an Adelson rabbit hole. I mean, there's stuff to discover every time I rewatch it. But the thing that sticks out to me more and more is just how completely unprepared Dan was that she was going to submarine him in this way. And then I think he was very shocked at the moment of his death.
And like I've said when we were watching the Belief Nick case, and with this case, those that have been involved, whether it's you get divorce, family member divorce, this is tough stuff to go through again. I mean, obviously, the Dan Markel paid the ultimate price, but just watching all this stuff is really tough. So if you're watching this with us, or if you're watching the trial with us, you need to step away. And again, we have that in Discord. We have that private group for divorce, people who have been through divorce. It's growing every day. Send a message to me or Jen, and we can throw you in there. It's a nice place to just vent if you want to. We also have our safe space for mental health in Discord. So check it out. Again, for all the new members in Discord, we have a private Discord. You just have to go in the community tab. It's the link just for members. It's a great place for everyone to connect. So just wanted to make you aware of those 2 private channels we have for people who went through divorce, and just a safe space for mental health that I think that, helps some people. Just typing it out and getting it on paper, as it were, typing it out on the computer. I think it's just a nice place for people to go. Anything you wanted to add, babe?
Well, Leanne just asked a question in the chat, and she says, I was wondering as a therapist how you would treat someone like Wendi. Well, I think it depends on what Wendi you get. Do you get a Wendi who is, or a person that is, self-aware in the way that they came to therapy looking to try to be better than what they are? Or are they there, as a part of a couple, or as a ploy to prove to someone that they're in therapy? Because that is typically the type of clients that I have dealt with that are anything like Wendi. None of my clients have been within the realm of Wendi, but that may have similar disorders. It's very hard for people to be self-aware with those disorders.
Brad, thank you so much, brother. You have a good weekend too.
Brad.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Brad, I want to get breadsticks in honor of Brad. All right. So, Wendi we would set goals in the therapy, and then I would be able to tell, if she's really probably there for the right reasons, as they say on The Bachelor. But, it would take a lot. It would take a lot, and it would take going to the root of, why she is the way she is. There's a lot of family dynamic that you would have to root through. I'm really glad that I'm not her therapist, is what I'm saying, because it would be a shit ton of work.
But as you guys can tell, Shannon, like she said, she went down. She goes down the rabbit hole, and she's been researching this for like 2 weeks straight because we missed a week. So she killed it like always. She crushed it. I hope you guys enjoyed what we got here. If you haven't already, if you could smash that like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, if you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you could. And I guess Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh!
Yay, a new member.
Miss Dina, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gwyneth Paltrow rewatch. I think it's going to be nice to watch just a civil trial with Gwyneth Paltrow where we're not dealing with murder, etc. Just Terry. So it'll be nice to just kind of watch that. And again, Mandy's going to come on. So I think it'll be nice to just kind of watch something that's chill a little bit.
And
movie? No, the movie is scheduled for Monday. Bose, Monday. Sunday 4 p.m. Eastern is the rewatch. Monday is the movie we're gonna watch in Discord. I haven't determined a time yet, but I will keep you guys updated on that.
Terry on the camel.
Terry.
Terry's Facebook.
We're gonna watch that. We're gonna bring up that Facebook.
That is so great. And I was gonna say we also have giveaways. We have 2 different stickers that we're giving away. And I'm really happy about the quality and how they both turned out. So that is going to be exciting. And I'm going to use my little bingo turner, which I feel like enhances the moment.
Well, she may use may have found an app that I can, where people in the chat where it'll just randomly picked. But if you want to do the bingo counter, we can do but then, babe, if we do the bingo counter, everyone in the chat is gonna have to say they're there, and you're gonna have to real time get everyone and set up the thing. So
okay,
we'll figure it out. We could,
I'm sorry that I brought up the bingo.
No,
counter.
we're gonna do the bingo thing because, again, I'm gonna get punched in the neck if we don't. So we will have the bingo thing. Everybody, these are the stickers that we will be giving out. Oh, Tia.
Thank you.
Tia, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
I feel so much lighter now to be with all of you and to have gotten all this out. I know that there's probably you could have a million screenshots of this live where I'm just making faces. But now that I got to share this with all of you, and I know that all of you in the chat have empathy for Dan and his family, it just makes me feel so much better. I love being with you guys.
Shelly, we are married. Why would we not be married? Who said we weren't? She could still punch me in the neck even though we're married. That's okay.
I've never punched him.
She's never punched me. I don't
even play punch. I don't like that.
She doesn't. She never does. I shouldn't joke like that. I'm sorry. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate all of you. We appreciate all you bows. The link to Discord is in the community page. If you scroll down in the community page, you can see the icon for Discord, or also if you're in Patreon. I'll post it again shortly, but thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend if I don't see you, but we'll definitely be back
Safe
Sunday.
travels if you're traveling.
Safe travels, yes.
We love you.
We love you guys. Thanks, everybody.